Hi everyone, it's Tiff. This is my third vlog. As you can see, I am looking pretty beat up at the moment. I have had my surgery. I had it a week ago on Tuesday the 15th of December. I apologise for my voice also. I can't really talk that clearly because I have this splint in my mouth. Also, I can't really feel or use any of these muscles around my mouth, so speaking is quite hard. On the day of the surgery, my mum picked me up at 5:30 a.m. and we drove to the hospital. We arrived a little bit early, so we had to wait around before we could check in. At 6 a.m. we were able to check in. We filled in some paperwork, and then after that there was a lot of waiting around. It was kind of like being at an airport and waiting to board your plane. So I got shuffled around into a few different waiting areas, and then one of the waiting areas they put me on the bed and they got me to change into the gown. They also gave me special compression socks to wear, and as well as special underwear because I was getting a catheter put in, and a special like shower cap thing. They gave me lots of heated blankets to keep me warm, because apparently the operating room is really cold and people tend to get cold when they get anxious. I know I do. Then they gave me some drugs to calm me down. They gave me Lyrica and Tapentadol. While I was in this waiting area, my mum was with me. She was chatting to me, I guess trying to like distract me and keep me calm. My dad called me to wish me well. And then an orderly came to shuffle me off to the next waiting area. And then while I was in that waiting area, the drugs started to kick in and I got really chatty with the nurse there. So then I got wheeled into the operating room, and that's where I saw the anaesthetist. They kind of like stuck some electrodes on me or something, and the anaesthetist was kind of flicking my hand to try and find a vein to put the IV in there. Then put the IV in, and then they put an oxygen mask on me, and I pretty much went to sleep, and I don't remember anything after that. So my surgery actually only took 5 hours. I thought it was going to take 7, but I guess they allow for extra time in case anything goes wrong. So I got out of surgery at 12:15 p.m. I woke up in intensive care at probably sometime between 1 and 2 p.m. I remember hearing the nurses' voices, and I was awake and alert, but I just couldn't open my eyes because I was so drowsy. And I really don't remember that first 24 hours very much at all. I just woken up from being under general anesthesia, very groggy, very tired, and I just didn't really know what was happening to me. It was probably a good thing because it would have been very confronting if I was alert and aware of exactly what had just happened to me, because it was quite a major surgery. So when I was in intensive care, I had so many tubes coming out of me. I had an IV coming out of here, out of the back of my hand. I had an IV coming out of my wrist. You can still kind of see the bruise from where that was inserted. I had a nasogastric tube, a tube going through my nose and like down my esophagus to like supply me with fluids and to feed me. I also had a nasotracheal tube, which was a breathing tube through my nose and into my throat. And then I had a catheter attached to me. So I was basically like hooked up onto machines that were keeping me alive. I also had a pain button, which was essentially a button that released fentanyl straight into my veins. Fentanyl is a very strong opiate. It's 100 times stronger than morphine. So that gives you some idea of how much pain a person is coming out of this type of surgery. So the fentanyl button was amazing. You just press a button and it releases fentanyl. It had a 5-minute lockout, so once you pressed it, you had to wait 5 minutes to press it again to stop people spamming it, which is a very important safety mechanism because fentanyl can really slow down your breathing and it's very easy to overdose on it. And I noticed that when I did use the fentanyl button, my breathing slowed down a lot, such that the machines would start beeping because my breathing rate was slowing down so much. So while I was in this post-surgery state, the nurses kept telling me to practice breathing deeply and to move my feet. I also have these like floaty things around my calves. They're basically just like inflated like a blood pressure cuff around each calf, I guess, to like keep the circulation going in my legs because I've been stationary for so long. Yeah, I like basically couldn't move or do anything for that first 24 hours. I couldn't communicate either, so they gave me like a clipboard with a piece of paper and a pen so that I could write down things on there. The first thing I wrote on there was, how long does the pain button take to work? I think because I was in so much pain and I wondered like if I should press it again. And then the second thing I wrote was, my throat is really sore and dry, which it was. And I don't know what I was expecting the nurses to do with that information. I think I just needed to express that to someone, that my throat was so sore and dry from having 2 tubes stuck down it and from not having eaten or drunk anything for like 24 hours. And on that piece of paper, I basically had 3 things that I wrote down that I just like ended up pointing to each time. So the first one was, can you please suction me? And this is kind of horrible, but when you have upper jaw surgery and when you have any sort of surgery around your nose, you're gonna get clogged up with mucus and blood. And I remember feeling a few times I couldn't breathe because I was so congested. And that was really scary because if I didn't have that breathing tube in, I think I would have suffocated. On several occasions, I had to get the nurses to come over and suction the mucus out of my nose, out of my sinuses and out of my throat. And to do that, they went through the nasotracheal tube with another tube. It was a really horrible feeling because you can feel like the end of the suction tube going down into your throat. Ugh, never again. And the second thing that I had on my clipboard was, can you please administer anti-nausea medication? Because I was on so many different painkillers and antibiotics and whatever. Also, I had ingested a lot of blood. Because of all that, I felt very nauseous, and a few times I was worried that I would throw up. Fortunately, I didn't throw up at all, and the anti-nausea medication worked quite well. And then the third thing that I had on my clipboard was, can I get new ice, please? So when you wake up from jaw surgery, they give you one of these like slings or jaw bras. I'll show you. Basically, there's a bit of material and they've got pockets for ice packs. And this helps to reduce the swelling, and also it just feels really nice. Because you're so swollen and sore. So I would need to get that ice changed like every 2 hours or so. And I really started to feel uncomfortable when I didn't have the ice on my face. And I basically had ice on my face constantly for about a week because I've got so much swelling. And it's also really hot here. So on the first day after surgery, on the Wednesday, I woke up in ICU and I was feeling a little bit better. I was still very drugged up and groggy, but the nurse seemed to think that I was okay to have my nose tubes taken out. And one really gross thing that happened was before they took out the nasogastric tube. I'm spitting everywhere, this is disgusting. Before they took out the nasogastric tube, they had to make sure my stomach was empty. And so they had to basically pump my stomach with these big syringes. And all I could see was just blood. Like dark red blood. Like my stomach was just full of blood. It was disgusting. It felt pretty horrible to have those tubes taken out, but once they were out, it was like, thank God, freedom. And they also took the catheter out. I was able to have a shower. So I managed to have a shower, but it was a big ordeal because once I got in the shower, my nose started bleeding and it was like gushing with blood. And I remember feeling so overwhelmed and helpless that I just pressed the panic button. I was just sitting there and then the nurse opened the door and was like, are you okay? I was just sitting there with a blood nose, like nearly in tears, being like, help. So then they gave me like a bolster, they call it, to put on my nose just to plug up the bleeding. And I managed to have a shower and I changed into my regular clothes out of the hospital gown and I did feel a little bit better. I managed to eat a little bit for lunch. I had a little bit of soup, a little bit of custard, but I didn't really have much of an appetite. I couldn't eat much and the nurse warned me to not eat too much because that can tend to make people feel even more sick. After I had the catheter taken out, they had to scan my bladder after every time I went to the toilet to make sure that my bladder was functioning properly. And the first few times they found that my bladder was retaining urine, so they had to keep monitoring me to make sure that, I was expelling all the urine. Sorry if this is TMI, but you're getting the good, the bad and the ugly, and this is mostly the ugly stuff. So on that day, I got taken to the normal ward in the afternoon, which was great because ICU is a stressful place to be in. It's very noisy, you've got people coming in and out, you've got no privacy. It was quite hard to relax in there. So the next day, on the Thursday, my swelling really started to balloon. But I started to feel a bit better, so I had energy to walk around the ward. The surgeon came to see me in the morning and asked me if I'd been walking around, and I said no, I've been too tired, and he said that's not good enough, you need to walk, otherwise you'll get a lung infection, and you need to drink at least 2 liters of water every day. So those became my goals, to walk and to drink water. I finally had all my IVs taken out, so I got disconnected from all the machines, which was great. Which meant I didn't have to carry the drip with me to the toilet every time. That was annoying. I was able to swallow pills. I was able to eat a little bit more. By that point, I was pretty sick of being in hospital and I just wanted to go home, and I was getting pretty lonely. I chatted to my roommate for a bit, but then she got discharged that day and I ended up on my own. So I was feeling kind of lonely and a bit restless, I guess. So on the next day, the Friday, I was feeling better. I managed to sleep for some periods. It was quite hard to get a decent night's sleep in hospital because I would either wake up in pain or wake up needing my eyes to be changed, or the nurse would wake me up because they needed to check my blood pressure or to give me some medication. So I never really went like more than 2 or 3 hours without needing something from a nurse. That morning the surgeon came to give me the all clear to go home. I was super happy about that. He said that I've done pretty well and that people tend to get quite wiped out by this surgery and that I've done well, so I was happy to hear that. He did say that my swelling was kind of on the higher end of the scale, which sucks, but you know, I'll take a fast recovery with some swelling. Currently day 3 post-op and I am feeling so attractive right now. Oh my god. I hope this is the worst of the swelling because I don't think my face could get any bigger than this without fucking just popping like a balloon. And my skin is all like shiny and I feel absolutely disgusting. But I do have some more energy today. I managed to eat some soup for lunch, ate some ice cream, been able to walk around the ward a few times. My face feels really fucked up. Yeah. Jaw surgery. Woo!